Okay, YouTube, it's Warfighter MTO. My next video is just going to be very brief. It's going to be on philosophy of kit setup, or second line setup, armor setup, plate carrier setup, whatever you want to call it. I see a lot of people, especially, well, I mean, everybody from special operation guys to, you know, regular infantry guys, to civilians, to just everyone. They really don't have a good concept of what it means to set up a good second line or kit setup. So I'm going to go over briefly my thoughts on what you should be thinking about when setting up your kit. And I use that term loosely, just like I said, second line, whatever you want to, body armor, whatever you want to refer it to. I'm not going to go over how I have this one set up. I'm just going to go off my philosophies behind it. So first off, you always remember this is as keen as, you know, mission drives equipment, not the other way around, obviously. So first, you got to look at what mission you're doing. And obviously, missions change, your roles change, etc., etc. So you got to look at what the mission is and what your role within that mission is, and that's going to dictate largely how your kit is set up. The second thing I look at is, number one, weight and low profile. I want to have the less amount of weight possible. Why is that? Well, because I can move and run faster with less weight. Now, obviously, if you're doing a goddamn air assault that's supposed to last for a week, you're not going to have a lot of leeway. You're going to have to carry a lot of shit, especially if you don't know or if resupplies aren't going to be regular. You're just going to have to carry a lot of shit just to live. Now, obviously, if you're just doing little short, 2 or 3 hour day patrols, just local to where you're living, then, that's going to drive a different necessity of kit. But generally, you want to be as light and low profile as possible. And that's what I always strive for. I'm always striving for ways to make my kit more low profile and light. And then 3 is going to be my accessibility and and ease of access to my equipment, i.e. my magazines, whether tourniquets, knife, anything, grenades, anything. I'm looking for how well I can access it and how easy it is to access it. So first thing is, I never run double mags on the front part of my plate carrier. I run one row of magazines. I don't run 6 on my front because I find that you can't go to prone properly. In Iraq, you probably wouldn't be going to prone that much if you're just, hitting rooms and clearing rooms all day. You might not have to go to prone too much. Let's say you're in Afghanistan, though, and you're fighting in the hills or mountains or whatever, and you're going to prone all the time. You want to be as flat as ground as possible and have a double or triple stack magazines on your belly that's probably already large enough as it is. It's not going to help you anymore. So I only run one row of magazines, and generally for that's going to be 3 M4s, sometimes 2 or 3 7.62 magazines, SR25, Scar Heavies, whatever you're using. And I will never run anything more. And to add to that, I generally don't like to run anything else out here. Handgun mags, tourniquets, anything. And the reason why is because anything else that's on this section of your front flap or on the front part of your armor or whatever, and you're in prone, and like let's say you have to low crawl 100 meters, it's going to get torn up. It's going to get ripped. It's going to get torn up. You might lose it. The possibilities are endless. I need my kit to be durable as well. I need to be able to know I can roll down a mountain or crawl 100 meters in the mud and retain my equipment. My equipment's still functional. That's why I like to go for a more closed, super secure style of mag retention. I don't like to have just these 50% Kydex, little or no retention magazine pouches that can just, if you turn upside down and it falls out, or, I need something that's going to have positive retention, that's going to encase the equipment, so in case I'm in the mud or whatever, it's not going to affect the equipment's use, because if mud gets down there and it gets in your rounds or in your magazine, your magazine might not work properly, and that's not going to do you any good, because now you have 1 pound of useless ammunition that you could might as well just throw in the fucking garbage. So, and the same thing with the tourniquet. If I have a tourniquet up front here and I'm dragging my dick through the dirt, and I get hit, or someone gets hit, and I'm trying to grab my tourniquet, and it's just this muddy, ripped up fucking mess, and that's useless. It's not doing me a bit of good. So I don't run anything except for one row of magazines, and they're usually really good covered magazines on my front row of my second line or my kit. And you're going to say, well, you have so much, area of the magazines covered up, it affects how you draw, index, and how fast you can, do a reload. To some degree, it does a little bit, but I'd rather know that my magazines are well protected, they're not going to be dented, not going to be caked with mud or whatever, than, the millisecond that it saves on an emergency reload that rarely gets done anyways. So this is my right side. I'm right-handed, obviously. So I generally keep my right side. It's slick. Why? Because obviously I have my handgun and I don't want anything to impede the draw of my handgun. So I keep it slick, except for on the far center of the molly on the cummerbund. I'll generally have a tourniquet there. So it's off-centered, so that way if I do, like I said, have to crawl, my tourniquet's not getting damaged. And I can still access it with both arms. To say if one arm got blown off and I only had one arm, I can access it with both arms. So, and it's secure on there. I have I think, a special made tourniquet holder that keeps it good and secure on there. The next thing I look at for, a lot of people make mistakes on is magazine capacity. You guys carrying like 10, 12, 13, 14. I've seen guys carry 14, 15 magazines. I mean, do you really need it? Or more importantly, do you really need it at your immediate access on your body? Think back. If you're over in Afghanistan and you're really using, 10 mags in one firefight without, some sort of resupply or break in between that fight, holy shit, you're doing some fucking rough shit. Because I've never personally had to go through anything like that. And, maybe somebody has, I don't know. But, most of the times I noticed that I went through 3, 4, maybe at the most 5 magazines and even the most intense gunfights or firefights. And then sometime, around that or after that, I would have some sort of ability to resupply my magazines from a secondary source, whether it was an assault pack, rucksack, a buddy, trucks, whatever it was. So I was like, well, I'm carrying all this extra pound of ammunition. I learned this fairly early on when I was a soldier. I'm like, there's no need for it. So generally, for 80% of my situations, I only run 5 immediate access magazines. So what does that mean? It means 4 on the front part of my kit because I only run one radio. So I keep one magazine. This happens to be have 2 built-in radio pouches. So I keep 1 in a radio pouch, 3 on the front part of my kit, and 1 in the gun. That's 5 magazines. And that's 150 rounds total, and that's what I keep in my immediate access. Anything other than that, I'm going to have in my assault pack, or the vehicle, or something like that, or I will have mounted on the rear portion of my plate carrier, because I know that sometime in the middle of a firefight, I'm obviously not going to be alone. If I'm alone, then something's seriously fucking wrong. But generally, I'm always going to have another friend, buddy, whoever with me that's going to be able to access my mags from a secondary location. So I don't need to have immediate access to them and to weigh down my kit and to make me bulky, and all that. So I like to keep low profile. So with that being said, the only other thing, usually depending on what weapon system I'm running, it's a 7.62 weapon system. Just because usually the magazines are so big, I got to run an extra magazine right here. But if not, I always run 1 pistol reload right here and 1 on my belt, and that's because that's my emergency pistol reload source right there, and the belt one is my secondary or tertiary, whatever you want to call it. So, and that's all that gets run there. And then on the other side, this is a multi-use thing. Usually I keep my nods in here. I think it's marked as a M60 ammo pouch, whatever, belt-fed ammo pouch. But I keep nods in there and a grenade. Usually, if I'm running a grenade that time. Usually in Afghanistan, I always had at least 1 grenade on me, just in case the shit hit the fan, proverbially. But I never even used it ever. So, but I'll keep my nods in there because I like to be able to fit my Rhino and my nods. And if you have dual nods, then obviously it's going to take up more space than a single monocular. So, and then other than that, like I said, your mission dictates the equipment. I got this set up for a close quarters and kind of setup here. It has an assaulter's back panel that always has the option of carrying more stuff in this pouch, a general purpose pouch, and then it has a flashbang pouch where I can carry flashbangs, and then it can hold a hydration bladder. And that's another thing with my philosophy on kit. I see a lot of guys, if they're doing like little day patrols, or even if they're just conducting a short raid where they're just hitting something and getting out, they won't carry water, or they might only carry like a liter of water. I don't believe in that. I like to carry 3 liters of water pretty much standard. I want 3 liters of water on me at all times, no matter what I am doing. Just because I've been in situations where things don't go as planned and you might be stuck out somewhere, and usually, you know, we fight in the desert, so shit's usually fucking steaming hot, especially in the summer, and I want 3 liters of water because I can survive, you know, 24, 36 hours with 3 liters of water. So I always have water. I don't care what my setup is, what my mission is, I have water. And I think that's a TTP or an SOP of a lot of units. So, and like I said, you know, I'll keep extra. You know, if I want to carry extra ammunition for that mission, I'll keep it in here, or I might mount an extra 2-mag ammunition pouch on the rear part of my kit. So, and if you're vehicle mounted, you know, having a really large back panel may not be conductive. You may not be able to fit in your vehicle right. You may not be able to get out of your vehicle right. So you might have to slick it down a little bit. So, you know, just keep it in mind and what you're using it for and what your role is and everything else. I just don't want people to get complacent with their kits, especially people that are vehicle mounted, and they think that, oh, I'll run a slick back and I'll just keep my Camelback or hydration bladder or whatever in the vehicle. And then, you know, push comes to shove, their vehicle gets disabled, they have to do vehicle recovery or whatever, and now they're without water. You know, or they have to abandon their vehicle, God forbid they got hit with an IED, and now they don't have any water. So, you know, just think worst case scenario, you know, with your kit and what you need to absolutely live and survive, and then, you know, bust it down from there. So that's my little short video on philosophy of kit setup. I just see a lot of guys carrying a lot of unnecessary stuff and in bad ways that could be alleviated. So, you know, I'm not saying my way is proper or you shouldn't run double mags on your front. I'm just saying test it out. You know, test your equipment out. So, and you know, you might be a super skinny guy and running double mags on your front might not hurt you. It hurts me. I'm not so skinny. So, you know, just comment. Tell me your suggestions, if you know you agree, don't agree, if you think you should be carrying, you know, 210 rounds of ammunition at all times, you know, basic combat load, you know, because those are the rules, or you believe in it, or whatever. Just leave comments, suggestions, whatever. I'll listen to them, might not. So, okay, out.